Hey, good morning for you early risers. It's your girl, Savannah DeBarros, the owner and founder of the SL DeBarros Law Firm, where I help high growth entrepreneurs, professional athletes, and speakers to scale fast. And I also help them to protect their revenue with contracts that actually work. So today I'm going to be talking about 5 reasons you shouldn't do a deal without a solid contract. I wish I had a drum roll, somebody. 5 reasons you shouldn't do a deal without a solid contract. And at the end of this, I am going to give you guys a free resource. Yes, I said it, free 99, a free resource to help you to learn how to properly enforce your contracts. Cool? All right, are we cool with that? So again, good morning. If you didn't hear who I am and who I work with, my name is Savannah DeBarros, and I own a company called the SL DeBarros Law Firm. And I work with high growth entrepreneurs, professional athletes, and speakers that are scaling fast. And I work with these people because they want to protect their revenue with contracts that really, really work. I know you guys are tired of being out there creating these crazy contracts or things that you think might help you, but in fact, they don't. And we're going to dive into that. All right. As a matter of fact, if you know anything about me, you know I like keeping things real. I like keeping it real because I don't want to give you any fluff. So today is going to be a complete no fluff, 5 solid reasons, and you can take this information, implement it inside of your business, and do what you need to make sure that you're actually that you actually can receive the money from the deals that you guys are engaging in. Okay, so let me start off and say this, okay, because I've worked with $1 million CEOs, speakers, people who literally have booked out calendars. All right, they have the deals, they are coming through the door. I've worked with athletes with brand deals. I've worked with entrepreneurs who have large licensing contracts, and they all have one thing in common. I wonder if you can guess what that is. If you are up and awake with me, you can communicate with me through the chat, through the comments. But I wonder if you know what these people have in common. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to hold, it's not a secret. I'm not going to hold it from you. Okay. At some point, someone has ghosted them, shortchanged them, or flat out broke a deal. And they either way didn't have a contract at all or had one that couldn't even hold up when it mattered most. It's the truth. It is the truth. I have represented professional athletes, and one issue really, really comes to mind where this athlete thought, a professional athlete thought that they had a solid contract. Turns out the contract was never even signed by both parties, meaning it wasn't even an executed contract. All right. So we don't want to fall into those pitfalls. So let's talk about what these 5 reasons are and why you should never, I repeat, never, ever, 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 like Friday, never, ever, 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 ever. Okay. Never, ever do a deal without a solid contract. Let's get into it. Reason 1, y'all might want to pull out your notebooks because this is free game. Okay. This is free game for you. So pull out your notebooks, make sure you are jotting down some notes. If you're catching this on a replay, let me know that you came in on a replay, type replay in the comments, in the comment section. But definitely make sure you have a way to come back to this, right? So save this video if you need to, share it with a friend, someone who may have already been venting to you about a deal that has gone wrong and they are having a hard time trying to enforce their contract, okay? You do not want to forget about this information I'm about to drop down for you guys. All right, let's jump into it. So reason number 1, to put it simply, good faith does not pay invoices. People can have the best of intentions, but intentions does not pay invoices. All right. So when you meet someone, you may have great energy with this person. They could really talk a good game. There are some people who really are good at selling you the dream of what it is that they envision for you both to work together. The reason why you engage in whatever this deal is. But when it's time to deliver, or better yet, when it's time for that check to be cut, they're ghosted, right? So we know the good vibes ain't paying nobody. It's not paying you. You can't go into something with somebody all because it feels good and it sounds good at the beginning, but then there's no contract at all. There's no solid contract. You can't say we had a verbal agreement. Verbal agreements don't hold up. It's your word against their word. Now you got to go and try to figure out a whole heap of stuff just to try to put some parameters around what really this relationship was about. Okay. I'm not going to dive into all the legal parameters around that. But saying that we had a verbal agreement won't hold up when things fall apart. A solid contract protects you when the relationship starts to shift. And you guys know this. If you have gone into business with friends and family, one thing about those particular situations is you already have a very personal relationship. And so business issues can heat up a lot quicker and be a lot worse than what they probably would be with someone who you never had a previous any kind of relationship with, right? So we want to make sure that we have a solid contract because it's going to protect you when that relationship begins to shift. Let's dive into reason number 2. Unclear terms, unclear contract terms equals unpaid work. Unclear terms equals unpaid work. Okay, so if you ever had somebody say, well, wait, I didn't know that was part of the deal, or that's not what I thought we agreed to, that's a problem. Now, let me just give you guys this hint to tell you, every contract, it can be as solid as you think it is. Every deal that you go into will teach you something about that contract. It will teach you about the holes that you need to plug. And when something like this comes up, you should be immediately going back to that contract. If it's your master agreement for whatever service or product that you do or that you sell, you want to go back to that master agreement and make sure that you plug that hole. So if somebody's saying, well, I didn't know that was what we agreed to, or I didn't know that was part of the deal, you need to have it clear, unambiguously written inside of the contract about what this term is, or what the offer was, or what it was that you said that you would deliver. Okay? Because you don't want to be losing out on money because somebody didn't know that they had to pay for something. We want to get paid. All right? We want to get paid. So these types of things happen when your contract is vague. Or, as some people do, and even if you are a smaller entrepreneur, meaning you're in the multi-six-figure phase, I want you to be encouraged, because I have seen million-dollar enterprises, multi-million-dollar enterprises trying to piece together certain contracts from Google, or they're completely missing a contract altogether. All right. So if you are that multi-million-dollar entrepreneur, maybe you scale fast, you grew fast, and you try to find something just to have some things in place, and you're realizing it's still not even working for you, well, you're in the right place. We don't want to continue having unclear terms, because those unclear terms are going to translate into having unpaid work. And who wants to be doing free work when the entire understanding was that you should have been paid for the work that you delivered? Okay. If your deliverables, payments, deadlines, and consequences are not spelled out, you're leaving yourself open for loss. And most of the time, it's always a monetary loss. It is what it is. All right. I'm giving y'all the truth. Giving you the truth. Let's jump into reason number 3. You cannot enforce what you did not define inside of your deal. You cannot enforce what you did not define inside of your agreement. Now, here's the truth. If it's not in writing, you can't enforce it, period. If it's not in writing, you cannot enforce it. Takes me back to one of the previous points. It's your word against their word, and it's going to be quite difficult for you to enforce something that you never had in this agreement that the parties understood and signed. When we say executed in the law, okay? So if it's not in writing, you can't enforce it. So even if you thought everything inside of your deal was clear, When that contract gets tested, and when I say tested, like when that dispute starts to blow up and you're inside this legal drama mess, oh baby, courts or mediators or arbitrators, if you take a matter to arbitration, they are looking for the proof. Where is the proof? Now, there are certain circumstances inside the law where if you didn't have what we would call a traditional contract, the full understanding of what the obligations and promises were by the parties inside one document that is your sole contract, there may be circumstances where you have communicated in writing with this other party and they have agreed to certain terms. You could potentially use that information to say, hey, we had a written contract based on these particular written communications. All right, but that's that's a long way off, right? But there are legal theories that can help you to do that, okay? But generally, I want you to understand that you cannot enforce what you did not define. So if it's not written down anywhere, it's going to be hard for you. And if you need to test what this agreement truly is so that you can get paid on the products or services that you have delivered, you have to understand that judges or a jury or mediators or an arbitrator, they will be looking for the proof. Where's your written proof to show that this is what you agree to or what they agree to, and they are the ones that are breaching or breaking their promises as it relates to this agreement? If it's not there, you're going to be in a very expensive situation. Okay, a clear contract will define the expectations and the backup plan. All right, expectations and the backup plan, and that is your leverage. You guys just do not know how many contracts I see that do not have a dispute resolution clause. And especially if you are in the products game, meaning you are someone who creates and sells high level products to the market. Well, what about the contracts that you have with your manufacturers or your vendors? You need to have a backup plan if a breach is about to occur, or which we call anticipatory, right? If you think someone is about to break their promise, what is that backup plan? Or you receive products that are not in compliance with what you previously agreed to, what you ordered, and what you've already paid for. What is that backup plan, right? How much time are you going to give these people? Are there additional costs that are associated to you receiving goods that are not in conformity? There should be. So you can create a lot of leverage inside of your contract if you clearly define what those expectations are and what those backup plans are going to be inside of that deal. Because when it comes time to test that agreement, you will then have your written proof and you will be the one in the best position to resolve your matter more favorably than had you not. Okay, let's jump into reason number 4. Now, have you ever heard people say, let's just work it out later? I have. I don't like that. Let's just work it out later. That kind of statement is going to cost you later. And as I said again, it's going to cost you monetarily. It is going to cost you later. Too many entrepreneurs, and yes, even high-level entrepreneurs, start with, well, let's just get this rolling and we'll figure out the paperwork later. That is a problem. That is a problem. And here's the spoiler alert. Later never comes. You guys are so excited into getting started, whatever this joint venture may be or what this deal may be. And yeah, maybe a whole bunch of cash is starting to flow through, but you have not taken the time to fully understand expectations from either side. What are your expectations? What are their expectations? Can you even deliver on those expectations? Sometimes we don't even realize that people have higher expectations than what we may even have thought, or that we may not even be prepared to deliver on, right? So you need to take a moment and stop and figure out what the expectations are going to be around that contract, right? Around this deal. And you want to make sure that you have an expectation based on your disputes. So if your relationship is good, obviously it will be good if you're going into a contract with somebody or into a deal with somebody. You want to try to maintain that relationship as best as you can by making sure that you clearly outline those expectations and those obligations and your promises, right, with that party before things get a little bit too deep. And then you're stuck trying to figure it out. And we all know as entrepreneurs, things do get busy, things get hectic. And yeah, later never comes. I mean, shoot, sometimes people even forget. They're like, well, we'll go and talk to a lawyer later. We'll go and, try to get a consult later. Well, later never comes until now all crap has hit the fan and you're looking for a lawyer to try to help you out of the mess. But you never talk to a lawyer before there was even a mess to begin so that you can fully and clearly outline what the terms of your relationship would be. Okay? When it's time to get paid or resolve a dispute, y'all have to understand everybody's memory is suddenly fuzzy. They don't remember, they forgot, they didn't remember it that way. I had a deal or clients that I supported before, and we had to take their contract dispute to trial in front of a 12-man jury. Unfortunately, the other party on the side were previously their friends. And a lot of the things that they had agreed to, now they had a contract that wasn't the best, but they had a contract. So we had to look outside of the contract to understand what was the full agreement or understanding around the terms of this agreement. All of a sudden, their friends don't remember it that way. They never said what they said. So you cannot hang your hat on someone that you trusted in the beginning to be trustworthy when a dispute happens. And we're all human too. So even if they said something, they may actually forget that they said it, right? But it also could be pettiness too. They could be like, well, I said it, but there's no proof that I said it. So let them try to prove it. Do you want to be the one stuck in that situation? All right. Solid contracts remove confusion before it ever becomes conflict. Solid contracts remove confusion before it becomes conflict. All right. Now, we're almost done with this. Reason number 5, y'all. Reason number 5. Let's jump into it. Legal protection equals real business power. Legal protection equals real business power. I'm going to give you guys a pet peeve of mine. Okay. It's one of my pet peeves is I truly it irks me. It truly irks me when I see high level, high growth, highly successful entrepreneurs who are literally taking a gamble with their business because they don't want to invest in their legal foundation, right? If you don't have legal protection, yeah, you might be a business owner on paper, but you can't enforce anything. It's going to be very difficult and it's going to cost you a lot of money, okay? All right? Now, when I say legal protection equals a real business power, this isn't about you being paranoid. This is about power for real. All right? This is about power, not paranoia. When you have a solid contract, it signals that you take your business seriously. And so if you are in a position where you're trying to position your business for true growth, higher level growth, you want people to invest into your company. Well, do you have any power? You probably won't have any power, which means you won't have any leverage because you have not been thinking about your legal protection. So when you take your business seriously, your legal protection seriously, meaning you have a solid contract, other people see you, those investors see you. And quite honestly, they're going to be more interested in your business because they're going to realize that you do take your business seriously and they're not going to just dump their money into a black hole. Okay. And more importantly, it gives you the legal tools that you need to protect what you've built. How many of you are out there talking about I'm building a legacy? You can't build or secure a legacy without legal protection. All of these amazing countries. I'm currently living in Europe, if you guys didn't know, all right, because I'm streaming to different places right now. And it amazes me in all the places that I've gone where I see history that have lasted, good Lord, I mean, for thousands of years, walking on paved stones that were laid there 2,000 years or 500 years ago, whatever the case may be, right? That stuff exists because there were people who protected their empire. So let's say the same about our businesses. You cannot build a solid business without legal protection. You are not going to leave a legacy without protecting that business, period. All right? You have to put your soldiers in order. You need that legal protection. You need that legal foundation. So if you have the legal tools, you're going to have the right foundation to protect what you've built, and that would be your legacy, okay? If you're a speaker, you're not just giving a keynote. If you're an athlete, you're not just signing endorsement deals. You are running a business. You are running an empire, and your legal documents need to reflect that. Okay, so if you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, I've definitely have done some handshake deals, I probably should not have. It's okay. You are not alone. But today, this is your opportunity to fix it. Okay, so I put together a free contract enforcement blueprint because I want you guys to know exactly how to handle your contract breaches before things get too messy. You don't want to be sitting in the wallows of legal drama, all right? You don't want to sit into the aggravation of legal drama. So if you want to snag your copy, you can go to bit.ly/get paid on time. And I'm going to put it in my comments section for you guys. You can snag that at bit.ly, get paid on time, and you can immediately download this blueprint. All right, you can immediately download that blueprint. Now, if you are the CEO that is, you're fed up, you're tired, and you're ready to cut through all of the noise, and you're ready to try and tackle this with other entrepreneurs, well, then I invite you to sit inside of a small group of serious CEOs, speakers, athletes who want to make sure their contracts are also airtight. And how I'm doing this is through a VIP strategy session. Now, this session is for only 5 people at one time, because what we do is we really dive through contracts and show you how to handle certain breaches and how to properly enforce them. All right. So to make this more effectively, we have to have smaller numbers in order for you to really get the value out of this small group VIP strategy session. So if you want to secure your spot, I will put that link inside of the comments, but you can go to bit.ly/VIP-no legal drama, and it is case sensitive. So I'm just gonna put it in the comment section for you. But all in all, I hope that this session this morning will help you guys to realize why it's important for you to have solid contracts. I mean, these are 5 reasons why you shouldn't do a deal without one. And if you really want to build something important, something successful, and you want to live comfortably from what you're currently building, but you also want to leave something for somebody, you have to put the protection that is necessary around it. It's time out for giving away your gift for free. or giving away your gift to people who are trying to find loopholes inside of your contract to say that they don't owe you anything. All right. And we're going to cut down on that. So make sure you flag this this live if you need to come back to it to see it. If you're driving or you're getting ready for work, make sure you re-listen to this so that you can take notes and start to really implement certain things inside of your business. And of course, make sure that you go ahead and grab this Get Paid on Time blueprint so that you can rid yourself of the legal drama inside of your business. All right, guys, I am Sylvania Burrows, owner of the S.L. Burrows Law Firm, and it is always my pleasure to talk to you guys. Hope you make it a great day. Talk later. Ciao.